In this last video, we created a basic Node.js application, and in this video, we are going to talk all about modules in Node.js. What are exactly modules and how we can create new modules and how we can use an existing module or how we can use the newly created modules. Hey everyone, this is Kamran and I'm a full stack web developer. And in this tutorial series, I'm teaching Node.js to beginners. Let's say if you want to create multiple classes or multiple functions, you are not going to put all the classes and functions in the same file. That will not look good and even that is not readable and that will be not easy to use. So what we are going to do, we are going to divide our whole project into multiple files and then we are going to separate these files into folders. How we are going to share the code of each file into each other. So for that we are going to use module. Modules are basically a JavaScript object which we can use to share a piece of code of one file to another. So let's say if I have this server.js and I create a new file name as name.js into which I'm going to return some name. That's it. I will be creating a class inside this name.js and that class I want to use in the server.js. So that I can do using module. So let's create a basic class inside this. So this will be a class and name, and I can just create a constructor inside this and then I can share this. And this name I can add as code with Kamran. Now I just want to share this name class inside this server. So what I can do, I can just simply export this, and to export this I'm going to use a module. So I can do that using module.exports and that will be our name. And this is how we can create a new function or a class and we can export that using a module. Once I export that, I can simply import this in any file. So we have to keep in mind that we have to always import that at the top. In using ES5 syntax, we can import that using require. So let's do that. So we are going to create a constant name. We are going to require the name.js file over here. So as you can see over here that I have required a name. Now I can create a name using this class. So I will create a variable name as my name and that will be a new class. So you can see that I have defined the class inside this file and then exported this and imported in the server.js. So this is how a module works. You can define the class or a function inside a file and then you can simply export that and then you can import that particular file, whatever we have exported, into some other file. Now I'm just gonna log this name inside this. So I'm gonna log my name dot name. Now I'm going to remove this console. I'm gonna just run this node script again. So for that, from the last video, you remember we use node server.js. So you can see here code with Kamran has been printed over here. So in this manner, you can export a single function or a class using module.export. Now if I want to export multiple entities, then how I can do that? In that, you can use just an export. So let me create a new file as address.js. So that will be an address.js, and inside this I will export three different things: the street name, city name, and the country name. So for that I have to use export. First I will create three different constant name as street, which will be a string, and we can name it as 31st. And similarly I can create city and country. Now let's try to export all of these three variables from this file. So for that we can use an exports. So instead of constant, I'm going to use exports dot, and I'm going to name like all the variables export dot. And you have to keep in mind that export is an object. So once you import this file, you are going to get these variables in an object. And similarly, you can also export some function. So let's say if I want to export some function, I can simply say calculate coordinates, and this could be a function. written 31.4045.44. So this is just a dummy function I'm using to demonstrate how you can export a function as well as a variable from a file. So let's try to import this in our server.js. So import will be same as name. So I can say constant address is equals to require, and this will be slash address. And so once you import this address, what you have to do, if you want to use the variable or a function, you can just have to use it as a address dot city or whatever we want to use. So I'm going to use the city. So once I run this script again using npm start, then you will see that it will print the name of that city, which is ny. Similarly, you can call that function. Let's try to call that function in this. So what was the function? Calculate coordinates. So once I rerun this, you can see that the coordinates have been printed over here. Now this is the basic of Node.js application, and this is how we are going to import and export all the modules throughout the application so that we can keep the whole application clean and clear. So you have to keep some thumb rules in mind, that whenever you are going to define a class, you have to keep it in a separate file. And if you want to define some functionality, then you have to create a new file, and then everything about that functionality will be coded in that file only. And then you have to export in other files and use it. In that manner, we are going to follow the solid principles as well. So I hope this video helps you understand the concept of module in Node.js. Happy coding everyone. See you in the next video with a new concept of Node.js. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I will highly recommend you to hit the subscribe button down there and the notification bell as well.